Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy Ed. In today's video, I'm bringing you guys a 10-team PPR mock draft from the 9th overall spot on Fantasy Pros Draft Wizard. Inside of this video, I'm going to be talking about my picks, as well as all the picks happening around me inside of the draft to give you guys a good explanation of how I feel about the picks, as well as how I feel my thought process is during my draft picks. Now, before I get into it, I'd like to ask if you guys are new to the channel to go down below and click that subscribe button. It's free, and I put out content every single day to help you guys win that 2020 Fantasy Football Championship. This is the third video of today. My first video was tight end rankings. The second video is talking about Leonard Fournette, obviously leaving the Jacksonville Jaguars because he got cut. And this video is, like I said, a 10-team PPR mock draft from the 9th overall spot. So please make sure to check that out, as well as my Patreon down below to get the draft guide. If you are drafting tomorrow, just wait one day. It'll be cheaper instead of getting it for 2 months. So this is, the roster positions are 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wideouts, a tight end, flex, kicker, defense, and 6 bench spots. So let's get right into it. 10-team PPR, like I said, from the 9th overall spot. So this is a very typical setup of a draft. That would obviously be something that happens for a lot of people, and I like this spot that we are in right here. The 9th spot is one of my favorites in a 10-team league. I prefer to pick from the 8th, 9th, or 10th spot because I really like to pick at that turn so that I can get 2 star-studded running backs, and that is my goal in the first 3 rounds. Now, obviously, that doesn't happen all the time. Other times, people get chosen in front of you, and then you're put in a shitty situation where you don't necessarily get the guy that you want, but at the end of the day, you want to make sure that you are prepared for anything. That's why I do a million mock drafts. I try a million different ways of approaching the draft, and that's how you win, by looking at multiple different scenarios and not just having one scenario ingrained in your head, because then if you're stuck here, I need to get 2 running backs, and a bunch of running backs go here, and then you don't get the guys you want, then you are going to be absolutely shitting bricks during the real draft, when if you prepare, you're ready, you're going to be all good. So to look at the draft before we make our 9th pick here, we see Christian McCaffrey followed by Saquon Barkley, Ezekiel Elliott, Alvin Kamara, Derrick Henry, Michael Thomas, CEH, and Dalvin Cook. Right now, there is worries that Alvin Kamara is going to hold out. He hasn't been in practice. There's worries that Joe Mixon is going to hold out. He has not been in practice. I think both of them will play week 1. I really do, but that's obviously something you have to keep in mind when drafting the baked-in risk. You probably want to draft their backups if you are going to be drafting either of those players. So now it is our time to draft either a running back or wide receiver. All the wide receivers are still available besides Michael Thomas, which is pretty typical, if I'm being honest with you. In the first round, you probably see a range of 1 to 4 wide receivers go inside of the first round. Now, this is a 10-team league, so 1 to 3 or 1 to 2 is the normal approach that I see. And then the second round, you see slightly more wide receivers. And then the third and fourth round is where the wide receivers come flying off the board, because so many people use my strategy of approaching the running back strategy or the running back position early in drafts. So here we're going to go ahead and snag Austin Eckler. Normally the pick would be Joe Mixon, but with the concerns at the position, or not with at the position, at himself, I'm very concerned, because he says he has these migraines, right? And he's also reports that he's holding out. Now, he reportedly plans to play week 1. Now, the real question is, will he be playing? Is he actually holding out, or does he have actual, some serious fucking migraines? I have no idea. So I'm going to go with Austin Eckler here. We're going to go ahead and fade Mixon probably in the first round. But hey, if he came back to us at the back of the second round, no, he went already at the 110. So after we went ahead and drafted Mr. Austin Eckler, we saw Joe Mixon come off the board, followed by Kenyon Drake. He probably still won't fall all that far in a lot of drafts due to the fact that people still love him, and most people will assume that he is going to be playing week 1, since that's what the reports are saying. So now we're here looking at either running back or wide receiver. At running back, there's Jacobs, Sanders, Aaron Jones, Nick Chubb, and it really falls off, I feel like, after these 4 players. After they all come off the board, it is a absolute shit show inside of the 3rd round. It is going to be terrible running backs here, or not running backs that are terrible, just running backs that I don't want, and the receivers are still going to be plentiful and bountiful, and Davante Adams is a great player, so I would not be opposed to picking Davante Adams here, but my approach is to get the running back position onto my team, because I know I can load up on wide receivers later. So here, I will happily draft my top-ranked running back still available, Josh Jacobs of the Las Vegas Raiders. Josh Jacobs is one of those players that could be the NFL leading rusher in 2020. The guy got an immense amount of volume on the ground in his rookie season last season. Now his sophomore in the NFL, I believe, is going to see the same amount of touches like in the rushing game and an increased amount of workload in the pass-catching game. So I love Josh Jacobs here in the second round. Josh Jacobs and Austin Eckler, to me, could both go in the first round in some leagues. Obviously, this is a 10-team league, so most likely not going to happen, but don't be surprised if one or both of them end up going inside of the second round, or inside of the first round, due to the hype to them. So after we went Josh Jacobs, obviously Adams was going to have to go eventually. He went right after us, followed by Tyreek Hill and Julio Jones, followed by Miles Sanders, Nicholas Chubb, George Kittle, Travis Kelce, DeAndre Hopkins, Aaron Jones, Allen Robinson, James Conner, Chris Godwin, Kenny Golladay, Pat Mahomes, Adam Thielen, and Odell Beckham Jr. And just as predicted at the beginning of the video, the second round, the wide receivers start moseying their way into it. And then the third round, it's full blast at the wide receiver position, and the running backs are getting faded like Zeke when he's playing video games. So I am not really concerned at the running back position now because I already have Eckler, I already have Jacobs, so I can go ahead and attack the wide receiver position here. Now, we saw Kittle and Kelce come off the board. Very typical, the big two tight ends go in the second or third round, and Pat Mahomes went in the third round, so Lamar Jackson will shortly follow either after my pick or shortly after my second pick at the 402. We're not going to go with Lamar Jackson here. You obviously could. I'd actually go with him in the fourth round if he falls to me, since I feel like the value is strong in the fourth round. In the second round, the third round, I just feel like that's way too high of a pick. You're really ruining your depth at the running back and the wide receiver position that is obviously very good in the early rounds. And in a 10-team league, it is relatively easy to find a quarterback later in the draft that you can have on your roster on a weekly basis, whereas running backs in the later rounds, it's very hard to find a guy that I feel like is locked and loaded to go on a week-to-week basis. So now it is time to draft a wide receiver. We already got our two running backs. I don't feel the need to draft a running back here to reach up for a guy that I'm not ultra confident in here, so we are going to go ahead and approach the wide receiver position. To me, it's between DJ Moore and Mike Evans at this pick at the 309. I prefer Moore, but I don't have Evans on any teams, and I haven't really talked Mike Evans up. I personally like DJ Moore get it more, because I think that the Carolina Panthers they really only have two targets on the team, Christian McCaffrey and DJ Moore. They got rid of third leg Greg Olsen, so now it's really just the DJ Moore and the Christian McCaffrey show, and DJ Moore proved to me that he could be one of the most elite wide receivers in the NFL. He proved to me that he could get the most receiving yards in the NFL at the position. Now, he didn't do it last year, but I'm saying it's definitely possible that he could, and with only scoring 4 touchdowns last season, I definitely see that number going up with better quarterback play under Teddy Bridgewater. Now, I'm not sure if the coaching is better between Riverboat Ron Rivera and the new head coach Matt Rule, but I still think DJ Moore is going to be very productive. I think Teddy Bridgewater being that step up above for DJ Moore is going to be very good for him. But, like I said, I don't want to go with him because I haven't taken Mike Evans in a bunch of these drafts, and I really do like Mike Evans as well. Mike Evans is the 1A and 1B part of the Tampa Bay offense. You could say Godwin's the 1A. You could say Evans is the 1B. I have no fucking idea what it's really going to be. I think I like Godwin more due to the fact that he's in the slot, and Tom Brady just loves that slot. He fucking motorboats the slot position. But that doesn't necessarily mean that Evans is going to be complete shit, because Evans in the end zone is wide open. How can you cover Evans and Gronk at the exact same time? How is that even possible? Because you can't double cover Gronk, because then Evans will be wide open. You double cover Evans, then fucking Gronk will be wide open. So it's going to be very confusing for defenses to figure out how to stop this offense. And with Tampa Bay, Tom Brady, I think they're going to be able to throw the ball more effectively. They're not going to have to do some crazy shit where Jameis just throws a million picks and throws them out of the game. And then maybe that's why Evans was scoring so many points. But I personally believe with Tom Brady, Mike Evans could have a fantastic NFL season in 2020 for fantasy football. So I'm going to get Mike Evans here. Normally, though, I would go for DJ Moore at that pick. So after we went ahead and drafted Mr. Mike Evans, DJ Moore came off the board, followed by Mark Andrews. So somehow Lamar Jackson made it to us. Is this something that could happen in your league? 100%. Really depends how your league is. Some leagues, the quarterbacks will go in the first round. Entirely possible. Some leagues, the quarterbacks will go in the third and fourth round. In other leagues, they go in different spots. But here, Lamar Jackson's here, and you better believe I'm not missing out on that. Even though I believe I could find a guy later that's perfectly fine, Lamar Jackson is next level. This motherfucker will run the ball for 70-plus yards every single game. He'll throw 2 touchdowns. He'll run in a touchdown. He scores a zillion fantasy points. I like Pat Mahomes more than him, but Lamar Jackson is the quarterback that's still here, so I will happily take him. He's in my tier 1 at the quarterback position. If you guys want to learn more in depth about quarterbacks, you can go ahead and check out my quarterback rankings video. I have rankings for every single position: quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and tight end, all up on my channel. If you guys have enjoyed this video thus far, please make sure to click that subscribe button down below. Like I said off the rip, it's free, and I put out content every single day to help you guys win that championship. So this is definitely an unorthodox approach for how I typically approach the draft. Definitely not something that's out of the ordinary because in the 4th round, the value on Lamar is very good. So through the first 4 picks of our team, we have Lamar Jackson, Austin Eckler, Josh Jacobs, and Mike Evans to start off the team. So after we went with Lamar, Melvin Gordon came off the board, followed by Chris Carson, Juju Smith-Schuster, A.J. Brown, Terry McLaurin, Amari Cooper, Jonathan Taylor, Calvin Ridley, Cooper Kupp, Tyler Lockett, DJ Chark, Todd Gurley, DK Metcalf, Mark Ingram, Cortland Sutton, Robert Woods. So obviously with Leonard Fournette gone, DJ Chark may move up even more due to the immense amount of passing volume there. Do they sign Devontae Freeman to the Jaguars? I have no idea. I thought would have been signed a zillion fucking times by now, and he's still not signed. Will he sign there? No clue. No clue at all. But Fournette's gone. Where will Fournette go? I also have no idea. I think it's going to be the Patriots. It could be Philly. Could be the Steelers. Could be Washington. There's a zillion opportunities for him to go somewhere, and I predict that he will sign either by today or by tomorrow. So I don't think it will take all that long for Fournette to find a job, especially since he's still on his rookie contract. So, like I said, in the 4th and 5th round, the wide receivers are fucking firing like Rambo when he's holding that goddamn gun in the Rambo movie. He's like, you know what I'm talking about? Have you seen that clip? That's what they're doing. They're firing all the goddamn cannons at the wide receiver position. The running backs are not really going off the board. Now, Leonard Fournette probably would have went by now. I probably would have picked him if he was available in the 5th round. But now, who knows where he's going to go? So am I going to draft him right here? No. If you're drafting before he gets signed anywhere, I don't even know. I'd probably draft him like the 7th round and just hope that he lands somewhere good, but I'm not too sure I would buy into him over other players that are available. But that could be the greatest pick ever if you draft him like the 7th round and he goes to the Bucks or something, or he goes to a team where he's going to be given that opportunity, maybe New England as well, or the Steelers. So now it's time to go ahead and draft our next player. There are not too many wide receivers that I love right here. I'm not all in on the Keenan Allen trade, Devontae Parker, T.Y. Hilton. I do kind of like Keenan Allen at running back, Le'Veon Bell, David Johnson, Kareem Hunt, all still available. So you could really go either way there. You could go running back, you could go wide receiver, but personally, I'm not ultra bought in on any of these wide receivers. I think Keenan Allen would be a fine addition to our team, and not having another wide receiver here is kind of the price you pay for drafting a quarterback earlier in the draft, but I feel pretty confident with the roster we have set up so far, so I'm going to go ahead and snag Le'Veon Bell of the New York Football Jets. Now, obviously, there's been reports, oh, he's running with the 2nd team, he's doing this, he's doing that. The guy looks jacked. He looks like he's in the best position he's been in his career to be good. Now, obviously, the team-wise, he's in the worst position. He's on the New York Football fucking Jets. He used to play behind the best offensive line in football, or at least one of the best in Pittsburgh. Now he's stuck in New York with dumbass Adam Gase. But at the end of the day, I'm going to believe in the talent. I'm going to hope that he just plays somewhat better than he did last year, and just if he plays somewhat better, he's going to be very worth this pick here as my running back numero 3 and my flex. That's why I like Le'Veon Bell here inside of the 5th round. So after we went with Le'Veon Bell, Leonard Fournette came off the board, followed by Keenan Allen. So looking at the draft board after we went ahead and snagged Le'Veon Bell, Fournette came off the board, followed by Keenan Allen. So Fournette, I don't know where he's going to end up going in most leagues. I'd assume he falls into like the 7th, 8th round range. But I guess if he lands at a good team, he'd be worthy of the 5th round pick. But that's a little too spicy for me, considering I have no idea where he's going to be playing this season. Now looking down at the rest of the draft board, we need probably some more running backs and some more wide receivers. I'll happily wait at the tight end position. Ertz is still available, but I'd much rather build that running back and that wide receiver depth here. And I feel like the wide receiver that I want is not going to fall back to me, so I'm going to have to go ahead and pull the trigger here in the 6th round and get him, and that is wide receiver Tyler Boyd of the Miami Dolphins. Now, you can go not of the Miami Dolphins, of the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, you could go Stephon Diggs as well. I think Diggs is a safe play, but I love Tyler Boyd. Him and Burrow already have an excellent connection, as reported by the training camp the motherfuckers with the binoculars who are looking in, the beat reporters. They're reporting that Tyler Boyd is looking good. Him and Burrow, he's had 1,000 yards 2 years in a row, back-to-back Michael Jordan 96, 97. I love Tyler Boyd. I think this is going to be his best year yet, and I think that if A.J. Green is healthy, which isn't a huge if because the guy's never fucking healthy. He always just seems to get hurt, but if he's healthy, Boyd plays better with him, but even if Green is hurt, Tyler Boyd still performs up to a pretty good level and will happily be my wide receiver 2. I love him there as my wide receiver number 2. So our roster through the first 6 picks, we got Eckler, Jacobs, Mike Evans, Lamar Jackson, Le'Veon Bell, and Tyler Boyd. So like I said earlier, if you guys have enjoyed this far, please make sure to hit that subscribe button. So after Tyler Boyd, we see Zach Ertz, Dak Prescott, David Montgomery, Tyler Higbee, Russell Wilson, Devontae Parker, T.Y. Hilton, Kyler Murray, Hollywood Brown, DeAndre Swift, Deshaun Watson, Michael Gallup, Raheem Mostert, Stephon Diggs, Jarvis Landry, and Matty Ice. So there was a nice lull at the quarterback position, a solid wait from the 4th all the way to the 6th round, but then the quarterback started pouring some sugar on me, and they were flying off the goddamn board, which is pretty typical. After someone picks a quarterback in like the 5th, 6th, 7th round, then a bunch of people pile on because they feel like they're going to miss out on the quarterback that they want. David Montgomery falls to the 6th round. Now that's probably his home spot, sticking around 6 or 7 of most drafts, considering he's going to be missing potentially a couple of games. So now we already have our quarterback. We don't have to worry about tight ends. We can just keep loading up on running back and wide receivers and draft our tight end later, which is obviously something that's pretty much the normal strategy anyways in the first 7 rounds of the draft, or the first 10 rounds of the draft really. But now, instead of waiting for a quarterback, we already have Lamar Jackson. We won't be tempted by Josh Allen here, even though I love Allen a lot. Now in the 7th round, the value is unreal on David Johnson. Now, I'm not sure if he will fall to the 7th round in most leagues, but you never know, because David Johnson is someone that most people fucking hate. Most people don't like David Johnson. David Johnson has fucked them in the ass one too many times, and they're like, you know what? I'm done with David Johnson. That's the perspective of most people. Some people like me are forgiving. We'll let David Johnson come back to our team, but not in like the 1st, 2nd, or 3rd round, the 4th, the 5th, the 6th, the 7th round. I'll let him back onto the team. I mean, so what if he sucks? He's my running back 4. In some situations, he'll be your running back 2. But if he's your running back 2, you likely have a star-studded running back 1. So it's fine to draft David Johnson in this scenario. Will he be there most times? I'd say probably not. The other running backs I would look at here, if David Johnson was not here, would be Kareem Hunt, Cam Akers, or James White. To me, look like the best picks inside of the 7th round. But here, we'll go with David Johnson. Definitely an amazing value here in the 7th round. Regardless of how you feel about him, that is a steal of a pick that is entirely possible to happen in leagues because so many people fucking hate David Johnson. So after we went DJ, Josh Allen came off the board, followed by Will Fuller of the Houston Texans. So now, again, loading up on running back and wide receiver. I feel like Darren Waller could be a solid pick here, but we're just going to keep waiting to get Hayden Hurst later in the draft. So it's all running backs and wide receivers from here on out, and then tight end later. I'm not about drafting 2 quarterbacks or 2 tight ends, especially in a 10-team league. I think you can easily just close your eyes and find them on the waiver wire. So we're going to go ahead and draft our, continue to build that nice bench. We have 4 running backs and 2 wide receivers. So here, I would advise going wide receiver here and then waiting on running backs for the next couple of rounds. So here on the board still, AJ Green, Julian Edelman, Marvin Jones, Brandon Cooks, Christian Kirk. So 3 guys there that I really like in Edelman, Jones, and Brandon Cooks. Who you want to draft here is really up to you. The safest pick is probably Julian Edelman. The riskiest pick is probably Brandon Cooks, considering that guy's just always getting concussions. But he always does end up playing as well. So that's kind of the thing you're going to buy in there with. Also, with DeAndre Hopkins gone, could be very good. To me, it's between Julian Edelman, though, and Marvin Jones. I narrowed them down as the players I like the most, but I would not argue against drafting Cooks here. But as my wide receiver 3, I'm trying to find someone who's nice and reliable. The nice guy to be my wide receiver 3, who I feel like could play the whole season. That's Julian Edelman. Marvin Jones, definitely riskier, not on the base of him being shitty on games. It's more based on the fact that he doesn't play a whole season. He's one of those guys that just plays 13 or 14 games every single year as of recently, and is going to be good for those games, but he's not going to play the whole season. And at my wide receiver 3, I feel like I need a safety net behind Mike Evans and Tyler Boyd. So I'm going to go ahead here and draft Julian Edelman in the 8th round of my draft. Very happy to get him there. He's a guy who's been a top 12 wide receiver multiple times in his career, and I would be surprised if he was finished like way lower than that at like wide receiver number 30, where he's been getting drafted in a lot of leagues, which to me just makes no fucking sense. Even with Cam Newton versus Tom Brady, it should not really make all that much of a difference to me. So after we drafted Julian Edelman, Ronaldo Jones came off the board, followed by AJ Green, Deontay Johnson, Marvin Jones, Kareem Hunt, Cam Akers, Jamison Crowder, Devin Singletary, Jordan Howard, Matt Breida, John Brown, J.K. Dobbins, Drew Brees, James White, Phillip Lindsay, and Tevin Coleman. Nothing really too out of the ordinary the last couple of rounds. AJ Green, like I said, just a fucking god-awful pick. I see no reason to draft AJ Green this season at all. He's just always hurt, so there's no need for me to draft him. I love Akers here. Super late for Akers. Super late, not super 8. Super late for Kareem Hunt. Pretty late, pretty solid pick, though. I love Jordan Howard. James White really late in the 9th round. Great value there as well. And Drew Brees is falling to the 9th round, which is some pretty solid value as well. So we do have a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4 running backs, and we have 3 wide receivers. So we could really go running back or wide receiver here. We're probably going to go wide receiver and then go running back in the next round, since obviously we're on like the turn-ish pick here. I think we'll be able to snag a running back here in the 10th that I like. So since I believe that, I'm going to go ahead and snag Brandon Cooks. Sure, he is kind of a risk due to that head injury, the fact that he's like one shot off of being severely hurt to the head, like from concussions, but could be the wide receiver 1 there in Houston, so I'll take my shot on Mr. Brandon Cooks here, late in the draft in the 9th round. So now we have just a couple of picks left in the draft. Obviously, we're not drafting a defense or a kicker before the goddamn last round of the draft because we're not a dumbass here like these other teams. Do not be that guy who drafts a kicker or a defense before the end of the last 2 rounds of the draft because then you are screwing yourself at the value of the other position. So after with Brandon Cooks, 49ers defense followed by CD Lamb. So now our 10th round selection brought to you guys by manscaped.com. Use code Notorious at checkout. If you guys want to have the nicest looking family jewels in your league, you want to have the most beautiful shaped balls like Picasso did it for you, use manscaped.com. They have this crazy stuff where you can use it in the shower. It has a flashlight on it. They have all types of stuff. The Lawnmower 3.0 is beautiful. I've used their ball deodorant before. It makes it smell A1 down there. So make sure you check it out. Use code Notorious at checkout. Manscaped.com. 20% off as well as free shipping. So now it's time to go ahead and get our running back. And I am kind of moving up on Tarik Cohen. Not the biggest fan of him when David Montgomery was healthy. But now David Montgomery's gone for the first maybe week or 2, maybe 3, maybe 4 weeks. That's going to be great for those first couple of weeks, but I'm drafting for the whole season, and I like Zach Moss of the Buffalo Bills. I don't like Singletary because I think Zach Moss is going to be much more involved than most people think, so that's why I draft Zach Moss in the 10th round, since I think he is going to get a lot of work this season and be very useful for the Buffalo Bills. So now it's time to go ahead and look at the draft board. After it was Zach Moss, the Ravens defense came off the board, followed by Jared Cook, Sterling Shepard, Marlon Mack, Darius Slayton, Tarik Cohen, solid value at the end of the 10th, Darrell Henderson, Justin Jefferson, Mike Williams, Matty Snapback, Matthew Stafford, the Pittsburgh Steelers defense, Hunter Henry, Carson Wentz, Anthony Miller, Alexander Madison, and Christian Kirk. So at this point in the draft, people are going to begin to take 2 quarterbacks. That's just what happened. We saw this guy go Breeze and Wentz. That just always ends up happening. If you draft a quarterback in a 10-team league, you don't fucking need to, okay? Just so you know, you don't need to. So now it's time to go ahead and draft a running back and a wide receiver here, probably. So we're going to go ahead and need to probably draft someone that I think is going to be very, very nice and get a running back or a wide receiver. Maybe we go tight end here, though, since I feel like the tight ends are going to go if we don't go him. Darren Waller's still available, so obviously we're going to pick him, but he's probably not available at this pick, so we'd go Hurst, we'd go Gesicki, we'd go Janu, all guys I like later here in the draft. If you want to wait super late, you can go ahead and draft Chris Herndon. Aside from one with Waller, Latavius Murray came out the board, followed by Emmanuel Sanders. Waller's never going to fall to the 11th round. I don't know why he does sometimes on Fantasy Pros, but hey, that's amazing value for him. So now we're going to go ahead and load up our bench with another running back and wide receiver, and then call this draft a close. Now Rock Armstead seems like a solid pick here, maybe. They don't add anyone. Chris Thompson seems like a solid value. But I'm going to go with Gibson. Washington Redskins, running back, was a rookie. No, he is a rookie running back. I'm a dumbass. Rookie running back out of Memphis. Did not get a lot of opportunity in college, but when he got the opportunities, he was balling out. So I could definitely see him having a big year this year, but there's thoughts that Fournette may end up landing at that team. So after we went with Antonio Gibson, his teammate Adrian Peterson came at the board, followed by Tony Pollard, Hayden Hurst, Buffalo Bills, Evan Ingram, Curtis Samuel, Tom Brady, Mike Gesicki, Duke Johnson, Bears defense, Boston Scott, Kansas City Chiefs defense, Chase Edmonds, Kerryon Johnson, Blake Jarwin, and Big Ben Roethlisberger. So now it's time to draft our final pick, which is probably just going to be a wide receiver here, and then go with our kicker and defense. So wide receiver is just the pick of the litter back here. You can go with the upside of Ruggs. You can go with Judy. You can go Williams. You can go with Debo. I'm going to go with Debo here. That seems like a lock in the 13th round. He's falling very far due to the fact that he's not going to play the first couple of games, but now it seems like he may end up playing week 1, so the value in the 13th round is amazing. I got him in my draft yesterday inside of the 10th round of a 12-team league. So after I went ahead and drafted Debo, we can see that Keyshawn Vaughn came out the board, followed by Aaron Rodgers, so multiple teams are drafting backup quarterbacks, but now it's time to draft our defense and kicker. First, we're going to go kicker, Harrison Bucker, the fucker, and then we're going to close it out, obviously, with a defense, hopefully going to be able to snag the Chargers, because the defense strategy is to draft a defense playing a shitty offense week 1, or an offense that you perceive might struggle in that week, and I think that the Cincinnati Bengals struggle against the Chargers week 1 due to the fact that Joe Burrow is starting in his first ever NFL game. So a bunch of kickers and defenses, as well as Henry Ruggs, Jalen Reagor, McCole Hardman, Baker Mayfield, Golden Tate, and then a bunch of kickers and defenses. So now we're going to go ahead and snag our defense, the LA Superchargers, going up against rookie Joe Burrow in his first ever game, and the Chargers defense is already good. So we got a B, but that's fake news because this is an A+ roster. Our team team is comprised of quarterback Lamar Jackson. Running backs are Austin Eckler and Josh Jacobs. Our wideouts are Mike Evans and Tyler Boyd. Our tight end is Darren Waller. Our flex is Le'Veon Bell. Our defense is the Chargers. Our kicker is Bucker. Our bench is comprised of David Johnson, Julian Edelman, Brandon Cooks, Zach Moss, Antonio Gibson, and Debo Samuels. Thank you guys all for watching this video. Please make sure to check out manscaped.com down below. Code Notorious at checkout for 20% off and free shipping. Make sure to click on one of the videos on your screen. Make sure to click that subscribe button, and make sure that you always remember that I love you all. The amount of growth I've seen in this last month is outstanding, and I don't plan on stopping at all. I'm going to keep putting out the content so that we can keep on growing and make our way to my goal of hitting 10K by the end of the season. Not sure if that's going to be possible, but hey, a boy can dream. I love you all. Thank you guys for everything. Goodbye.